Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 5:30 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. A bit early tonight, I'm Jay Cohn.
And I'm Jeanelle Slade. White House Chief of Staff General John Kelly jumps in to defend President Trump's controversial phone call to the widow of a slain U.S. soldier.
At an emotional White House press briefing today, Kelly took issue with Florida Congresswoman Frederica Wilson for what he says was politicizing a soldier's death.
The White House took steps today to clarify what President Trump was trying to say this week when he called the family of a soldier who died along with 3 other U.S. soldiers in Niger.
Mola Lengi has more details for us tonight from Capitol Hill.
White House Chief of Staff General John Kelly went after Congresswoman Frederica Wilson for listening to the president's phone call to the family of a fallen U.S. soldier.
I was stunned when I came to work yesterday morning and brokenhearted at what I saw and member of Congress doing.
Wilson revealed to the press that the president told the family that he, quote, knew what he was getting into. The general tried to clarify the president's remarks.
And in his way tried to express that opinion. He's a brave man, a fallen hero. He knew what he was getting himself into because he enlisted. There's no reason to enlist. He enlisted. And he was where he wanted to be, exactly where he wanted to be, with exactly the people he wanted to be with when his life was taken. That was the message.
Congresswoman Wilson responded to a Politico reporter saying, John Kelly's trying to keep his job. He will say anything. She added, there were other people who heard what I heard. Lawmakers are demanding more information to find out exactly what happened to the patrol in Niger that led to the deaths of the 4 U.S. soldiers.
It may require a subpoena, but I did have a good conversation with General McMaster, and they said that they would be briefing us. We have a long friendship, and we'll hopefully get all the details.
The Pentagon says it is still conducting an investigation. Mola Lengi, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Johnson's patrol was ambushed last week by about 50 members of a group that was linked to ISIS.
CBS News has learned the soldiers were told prior to their patrol that they should not expect to see any combat. As a result, it took 30 minutes for air support to arrive once the fighting started.
Here locally, the man shot by 2 police officers outside a Billings motel early Wednesday has now been upgraded to stable condition. The man was shot after police say he refused to put down his shotgun, then proceeded to raise and swing the weapon towards officers.
Q2 Samantha Harrelson has been following this story and joins us now with the latest details. Sammy, what can you tell us?
Well, Jay and Jeanelle, there are very few updates being provided since the shooting occurred. What we do know, the suspect, who is now in stable condition at a local hospital, has been to the KT motel multiple times in the hours before he was shot. Around 10 p.m. on Tuesday, police were called because a man had fired a shotgun into the roof of the motel. They were called again around midnight for reports of a man walking around the motel parking lot with a shotgun. Officers returned to the motel around 1 a.m. That's when officers say he refused to follow orders and drop his weapon, and then swung his shotgun in the direction of officers and was shot. Police confirmed there was another man driving the pickup the suspect was in who walked away before the shooting. Police have not confirmed whether or not they are searching for that man. The manager of the motel told me he believes this group has been in and out of his parking lot often late at night for the last several weeks. The 2 officers involved are on administrative leave per department protocol. They have not said how many shots were fired, only that the suspect did not fire at officers. The name of the suspect has not yet been released, and the investigation is ongoing. Jay?
All right, thanks, Samantha. The body of an Illinois man has been recovered after he fell while hiking above Mystic Lake in Stillwater County. Today, the Stillwater County Sheriff identifies the victim as 26-year-old Chase Schott. Authorities say that Schott was hiking alone around noon Wednesday and ventured off trail before he fell. Witnesses were able to rush to Schott's aid, but he was already dead. The hikers that saw Schott fall did not have cell phone service, so they had to hike out to report his death. Multiple agencies helped recover the man's body around 11 p.m. Wednesday night. The coroner reports that Schott's cause of death, blunt force trauma.
The suspect accused of stabbing a man to death on the Crow Indian Reservation in June is set to begin trial in tribal court next week.
Q2's Asia Gore learned the suspect's name today and tonight joins us with more on this case. Asia.
Jay and Jeanelle, the fatal stabbing happened 4 months ago, but still no federal charges in this case. The Crow tribal prosecutor says Andrew Plentyhawk is charged in tribal court with deliberate homicide, aggravated assault, and intimidation. Plenty Hawk is accused in the murder of 29-year-old Tim Bigman, who died from a stab wound to the abdomen. Federal authorities declined to say where on the Crow Indian Reservation the incident took place or what led to the stabbing. Now, under the Major Crimes Act, felony offenses on the reservation are typically referred to prosecutors in federal court. And that's because tribal judges can only impose a maximum sentence of 3 years per offense for up to 3 offenses. But as of today, Plenty Hawk is not charged in federal court. Trial is set for October 25th. It's unclear if Plenty Hawk is in custody. Jay and Jeanelle.
All right, thanks, Asia.
High winds headed this way are moving in sooner than expected. A forecast that forces Yellowstone County officials to ban open burning.
Emergency Services Director Brad Shoemaker says the National Weather Service put out a fire danger statement this morning. That statement warns that, quote, weather conditions will be favorable for rapid fire spread in wildland grasses. Now, winds are expected to gust more than 20 miles an hour, and that ban on open burning in Yellowstone County is now in effect.
The wind and burn ban are expected to remain through next Monday, October 23rd. But as with any forecast, it is subject to change.
Q2's chief forecaster Bob McGuire knows all about those changing forecasts, and he's here with us now with more on these wind warnings, Bob.
Yeah, it's another breezy day again for us. Let me show you what we have on the eastern slopes of the divide. Look at how high the winds are going up there at Cutbank, gusting up to 26 miles per hour, and farther to the south down by Livingston, 31 mile per hour winds, 32 miles per hour over Cody. So we still have some pretty strong downsloping winds. This is all part of a cold front that's starting to make its way into the region, and because of that, the Weather Service has issued this red flag warning. Winds there could be gusting up to 35 miles per hour tonight with low humidity. That stays with us until 7 o'clock this evening. That could cause any fire that gets started to burn out of control in a hurry. Now, let's talk about tomorrow. A new cold front moves through tomorrow, and that's going to be howling the winds at about 55 miles per hour with the low humidity. That red flag warning stays in effect from noon Friday until midnight Friday. And then a little farther south in Wyoming, that's a red flag warning there for the northeast corner of the state until 6 p.m. this evening. So what we have is some thunderstorms moving in, gusty winds. Should we get some dry lightning, it could cause some fires to start across much of south central Montana and also even in parts of Wyoming. We'll have more on your forecast in a few more minutes.
All right, thanks, Bob.
As Bob mentioned, gusty winds and these warmer than average temperatures, it's a bad combination for wildfires. Take a look southwest of Great Falls. Today, a fast-moving fire destroyed one cabin. That blaze is burning near Old Highway 91 in what's called the Hardy Creek area. It's south of Cascade. Authorities say no other buildings are threatened. No injuries have been reported. Fire officials believe this fire was sparked by a downed power line.
In northwest Montana, at least 8 reported fires are burning following a windstorm that swept through the region Tuesday. The Deer Run fire, one of the largest, is estimated at roughly 40 acres and is burning in the vicinity of structures, but no evacuations have been ordered. It's believed that fires were caused from slash piles and debris burns that were started last week while conditions allowed.
President Trump's former chief strategist is out with his endorsement in the U.S. Senate race here in Montana.
Steve Bannon's pick is current Montana State Auditor Matt Rosendale. Bannon left the White House to return to run the conservative news website Breitbart and has been actively endorsing candidates for Congress.
Breitbart reports that Matt Rosendale is conducting a fiercely independent-minded campaign, while it says the other Republican hopefuls have so far failed to gain traction. Bannon also is expected to endorse a challenger to Wyoming Senator John Barrasso, but Barrasso says he has the full support of President Trump.
The Montana Department of Health and Human Services says 12 people have been hospitalized by the flu virus since the start of the season, and more than 3 dozen sickened.
First cases of the flu reported last month in Cascade County, but it has since spread to counties primarily west of the Continental Divide. The state lab says it has seen instances of both the A and B strains of the flu. Doctors say young children, pregnant women, and the elderly are particularly vulnerable.
Becky Wayner, Immunization Program Manager, says anyone 6 months and older should get vaccinated. It takes about 2 weeks for the influenza vaccine to kick in for it to be effective.
Still to come tonight in sports, we'll tell you about Scott, who is one-on-one with Tyler Hamilton. He's the cyclist who ultimately forced Lance Armstrong's doping confession.
We'll be right back.
You're watching MTN News with Jay Cohn and Jeanelle Slade. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire and sports with Scott Green. This is the 5:30 news on Q2, Montana's news leader.